Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's so serious. Where my girls at? We ain't linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
And do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 910 AM Superstation-WFDF.
It's going down. It's going down. Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Oh, yeah. You know who this is. This is Crisette Ellis, your host for today. You're listening to We Got Issues on 910 AM, the Superstation with the force of friendship. And we're excited about today's show, as we are always excited to come to you Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. And you guys know we your girlfriends. We do the most. We do the most. We're messy. We're classy. We're nosy. We're bossy. We're everything in between. You got a girlfriend just like one of us, right? And so we're so glad that you take time out of your day to join the girlfriends as we talk about a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We talk about current things that are going on, and we talk about fun things, but we mostly want to make sure that we leave you with some light, some laughter, and some lessons. That's who we are. We love inspiration. We love motivation. That's who we are. We believe girlfriends make the world go round. It makes you feel better. And you know what? Studies even show when you have good girlfriends, you live longer. So if you don't have any girlfriends, you better find you some girlfriends so that you can be around for a long, long time. Well, you guys, I'm looking, those of you that are following us on Facebook, either on the 910 AM Superstation page or on the Force of Friendship page, you see it's just Sabrina and me and our guest on today. So we do not have 100% attendance, but I knew because of today's topic, Sabrina was going to be on today, okay? Because if you don't know anything about Sabrina, she absolutely loves flower. If you follow her on social media, you're going to see flower. You'll see her family and you're going to see flowers. You know what? You might see more flowers than you see of her family. That's just how much she loves flowers. And so today, you know, guys, it's so much that's going on around the world. I don't know, Sabrina, you could talk a little bit maybe about some things that you've seen in the news. There's so much going on. There's so much bad news that every now and again, we want to keep it light. We want to give you something where you can just woosah and be like, you know what? I'm not going to think about all of the bad stuff that's going on in the world. We want to just, you know, take the time to talk about some things that are of interest to you. Now, you may say gardening. Yes, we're talking about gardening. So for all of you that love to garden, those of you that have a green thumb, and even if you have a brown thumb, you better make sure you call your friend. You know, you went to her house and you saw her plant. One day it was green and you came over 2 days later and it was brown. Call that girlfriend and call. Some guys love to garden as well. Call and say, hey, listen to We Got Issues on today. We're going to be talking about some basics, some of the basics, 101 basics of gardening. But before I introduce my guest on today, I'm going to throw it over to my girlfriend, Sabrina, find out what's going on Geneva on the Lake, Ohio. She posted something today about a 13-year-old that has already been accepted to medical school. Talk to us about that, Sabrina. How you doing?
I'm good. Green girls, it is so good. You guys look amazing. I need to be where you are. I mean, really. That's Crisette's backyard, y'all. That is Crisette's backyard. It looks like a national park. Okay. I'm telling you, it is absolutely gorgeous there. It puts you in the mood to just want to be outside and enjoy nature. Chris, I did send that about this 13-year-old being accepted to medical school. And I just think that's phenomenal. Let me tell you a little bit about this woman. I mean, this little girl, you guys, 13-year-old Black girl gets accepted into medical school. She is phenomenal. At 13 years old, Alina and Annalay Wicker. Remember that name, Alina Wicker. She's accomplished more academically than most adults.
Wow.
How? The child prodigy is currently enrolled in undergrad programs at both Arizona State and Oakwood University and HBCU in Huntsville, Alabama. However, the young scholar revealed she has been recently accepted into medical school. She says, I'm just grateful. I graduated high school last year at 12 years old, and 1 year later, I've been accepted in medical school at 13, she wrote on Instagram, sharing an official acceptance letter. Her caption continued, I'm a junior in college. Statistics could have said I never would have made it. A little Black girl adopted from Fontana, California. I've worked so hard to reach my goals and live my dreams. Mama, I made it. I couldn't have done it without you. You gave me every opportunity possible to be successful. I mean, you guys, you gotta look her up. She says, I originally thought I wanted to be an engineer. And she said, then I discovered I want to work in healthcare to really show these underrepresented communities that we can help many find cures for the viruses. 12 years old, my friends. So, we're doing something right out there. Let's just keep pouring into these young people. We never know whose seed we're watering. And so let's just stay hopeful. We're keeping it light today. Yes, go ahead, Crisette.
Yeah, I was just going to say, did you say she was adopted?
Yeah, that's what it says. She said she was adopted.
Now, you know what? And of course, we've had a couple of shows talking about adoption, but therein lies another reason why, every child is important. There are no such thing as throwaway children. And look how, this child, somebody, a mother, father decided to adopt her, and look how brilliant she turned out. So that really is a feather in the cap of adoption, reasons to adopt for individuals who, know that that's their calling and they want to make a difference in a child's life. And so that is so powerful. You know what? I think we have Gloria on the line. Gloria, are you calling in today?
Yes,
she's here.
I love sisters. I love the information. I want to take notes. And it was my idea, Karen. But when I told you got a green thumb, and my thumb is not brown. It is clearly black, and it's not because of my skin color, okay? It is a black thumb, and I'm going to come see Crisette's backyard sometime this week when I'm in Detroit at my friend's house, like a mile away from y'all. So I definitely got to slide in there. When I took some kids up, okay, so I took a 2-week vacation with my grandkids in Martha's Vineyard, y'all. I took the plants from my house to my mother-in-law's house. He said, now you got to watch this plant for 2 weeks, and it may never make it home again because it's already died twice, and we revived it. Okay, I'm a hot mess. But I do love flowers, not like you, Sabrina, but I do love flowers. I do love beauty. Not quite like you can, but I know that it's out there for us to gather. And I know if I can just keep one little yellow plant for just a week, I can learn something here. So I got issues. I don't know about the rest of the people watching the show, but Gloria Mayfield Banks got issues, and I'm excited. And then Sabrina, this young girl at 13 years old, the wisdom that she has, knowing that the medical field needs her for underserved communities, y'all. For her to even say that at 13 years old is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. So there's a lot of good stuff going on in this world, and we do like to keep people lifted up. And I have had, y'all have been driving, I've been on this road since 8 o'clock this morning, between the ferry from Martha's Vineyard to pulling over to, you know, Cracker Barrel, okay? Everybody go to Cracker Barrel. And then tonight at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right? 2 o'clock in the afternoon, everybody go to French Toast. And then, of course, drive for 2 hours, and then somebody got car sickness, so we walk around. So, yeah, I'm just driving. Karen, I would not have missed it in my sister. Thank goodness. So I love the sister show.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I do have to say, Gloria wanted to be her show. And I was like, okay, Gloria, you can invite my sister to be on your show. But when we tried to do it, Gloria was out of town. We borrow each other's relatives. I borrowed Sabrina's sister, Regina. So we keep it all in the family. It would have been all good.
Okay. It's good.
Absolutely. Well, you guys, before I introduce my sister, let me just tell you a little information that you may not know. You may say, gardening humbug. I'll just go and pick something up and put it in my house. I'm not one to do a whole lot outside. And it doesn't mean that you have to personally do it. Maybe, you can afford to have a landscaper come and do it. But let me just tell you that gardening is good for your body and your brain. Did you know that? Gardening doesn't only boost the health of your geraniums, the simple act of pruning a hedge can also provide significant health benefits. Growing a garden encourages people to engage in other behaviors and activities that promote wellness. For example, gardeners consume more fruits and vegetables than non-gardeners. Okay, home gardeners who choose to grow food organically reduce their exposure to pesticides and people end up potentially, and this is what we're talking about, those who are growing their vegetables and whatnot. But it also said that a study showed that gardening also counted as moderate intensity exercise and can help women live longer. So if you say live longer, I say sign me up. Give me a shovel and give me some dirt and let's get it going. Well, you guys, all right, we're going to go ahead and jump right into this conversation. But listen, if you know that you love being outside, you love beautiful flowers and foliage and plants, and you're interested in some basic 101 tips, then this is the show that you want to call into with your question or with your comment. So you can call us at 313-778-7600. Well, today I'm excited because I have my big sister is here with me. Her name is Karen Ott. Yay. And she is my older sister. And when I tell you, she has a green thumb. My mother, and she'll talk a little bit about that, absolutely loved gardening. She loved planting things. I mean, that was who she was. And you guys know, when you come from a family of 5 girls, okay, it's like, who's going to get mother's genes for that? And I'm going to tell you, I think Karen is the one that got most of those genes when it come to having a green thumb. You guys, she is a graduate of Fair State University. She graduated with a degree in marketing. And I'm telling you, she is the big sister for real. She is the go-to. I mean, she's the go-to for decorating your house. She's the go-to anything you want to know about plants. And literally, she's retired. And if she just wanted to make a little extra money, she definitely needs to go and work at a gardening store. Okay. And she would be their favorite person because she just takes the time to nurture and to talk about them. But you guys, I'm telling you, she is the big sister par excellence. We go to her for everything, and y'all know we get the hookup, and her price is free. The real hookup. Okay, we get the hookup for sure. So you guys, we're about to go to a break, and when we come back, I'm gonna have her talk a little bit more about herself, why she got interested in, flowers and what she's done in the past. And then we're going to jump right into some of the 101s of gardening. You are listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship on 9:10 a.m. The Superstation. We're talking about gardening tips 101. We'll be right back after this break. All right, we're back. We're back live today. Live. You are listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship, and we are talking about Gardening 101. And we're so excited to be here today with my big sister, Karen Ott. She is a gardener expert. Okay, she absolutely knows a lot about making a garden absolutely sing. You guys, let me just say this. In her subdivision where she lives, they have contests on who has the best yard. And I know her neighbors is like, okay, you have won almost every year. Can you let somebody else have a chance? You know, I would be that one. It's like, that's okay. I'm going to find somebody that's going to hook my backyard up so that I can get an award. But she and her husband, I mean, their garden, okay?
I have a part.
Hey, Gloria, she's like you. She's like you when it comes to winning awards. They ain't about to be, ain't no way they're going to win second place, okay? They're going to always win the first place prize. So, Karen, talk to us a little bit about, you know, how you got started in gardening, why you love it. Just talk a little bit about that.
Okay, growing up, my mother loved to garden. And that's, with having 7 children, she was at her happiest when she was tending to her plants. She would talk to them. She just loved it. So I think innately it's in all of us. All of the green girls for sure is there, but it just takes a little bit to draw it out, you know. But I know that it's there. But gardening for me, I really didn't get involved in it too much until after I grew up and graduated from college. My first job was at Frank's Nursery, which is a local nursery here, and that's when I bought my first rose. That After that purchase of the first rose, I ended up with 20 roses because once you get started, it gets addictive. And once you see how things are growing, then you just want to do more and more and more. So it took 30 years of experience to get to where I am now. But you start, it's a wonderful hobby and you'll love doing it.
Oh wow! So, from your time at Frank's nursery
Tree.
is where you saw that you fell in love with the roses, and I'm telling you guys, her roses are absolutely amazing. Literally, when she cuts them and put them in her house, you think that her husband has sent her a bouquet of the most fabulous roses you ever want to see. So let's talk a little bit about, things that I know people ask all the time. And, I feel really smart because hanging out with you, I know the answers, but I remember when I don't know, it's just a plant. I don't know. So one of the things that people ask all the time is, what is the difference between annuals and perennials?
Okay. An annual is something that you have to plant annually. Every year you have to plant it. Okay. It does not survive the winter. A perennial, for me, I say permanent because that's something that will return. So perennials are permanent and they'll come back.
Okay, so that's what you have to remember. So when you say annual, it just means every year you're going to have to plant it. Perennials means they're permanent. They're going to come back every single year, every single year. So, so that's good to know because talk to us about when you're looking at flowers, annuals and perennials, what's other than the difference between one is permanent and one you have to plant every year, how can you walk in a gardening store and know, oh, those are probably your annuals and those are probably your perennials?
Usually the annuals are inside the nursery. Okay. They're the ones that are real colorful and have lots of bloom. The perennials are usually outside. So when you're shopping inside, those are annuals. Outside are perennials. Okay.
Okay. And so another question, and then I'm going to let the girlfriends jump in if you all have questions, is sometimes you don't know where's the best place to plant. Is it what's important to know? Is it important to know whether or not you're going to plant something in the shaded area or you're going to plant something in a sunny area?
Okay. First, you need to know your yard. Basically, you need to determine what areas have sun and which areas have shade because plants have specific needs. And if they're not addressed, then they're not going to do well. So before you even attempt to go to the garden center, peruse your yard, look at it and see where your sun and shaded areas are. Most plants, the annuals that have the most blooms that are very colorful and beautiful, they require a lot of sun. Okay. So you need to determine whether or not they get 8 hours of sun. Usually plants require 8 hours of sun. Then they have some other ones that are part sun and shade. So they're also available. The ones that are for shade are not really abundant bloomer, but they provide texture and some greenery and some, to add interest to your yard.
Okay, so there you have it. So a lot of times, and I know I've done this in the past, I've gone out and I see a pretty flower and I'm like, oh, I want that, I want that. And I just get home and I plant it anywhere, but any place that I want, and then it died. But it was because you guys do know when you buy plants, they have a little card in there that gives you all the information. It needs this amount of sunlight. It needs, or this needs a lot of shade. So really, knowing where to put your flowers is important. You can't just put them where you think you want them. You really have to put them where the card says you should put them. A lot of light, little light, or just total shade. So that's really important. And so, Karen, let me ask you this, and then Sabrina, Gloria, you guys can jump in with your questions before we got a few minutes before a break. So let me ask you this: as if somebody said that they wanted to start start out small and they wanted to start a garden, what are some of the basic things that they need to look for?
Okay, the first thing is the sun condition. You need to know about the sunlight for your garden. Your soil is another, because you need to have good drainage in order to for your plants to be watered to soil, because that's where it gets most of its nutrients is from the soil. Okay, then you need to really think about what are your favorite flowers and the colors that you like, because if you're planning on cutting your flowers and bringing them in, they should be flowers that you love and the colors that you love.
So the colors are important. And whether you want stuff that's going to really, really bloom. So knowing, where to put things, where not to put things are very important. So Sabrina or Gloria, you guys have a question for our expert today? Okay.
Okay.
I do. First, I want to tell you, Karen, you need to come out of retirement and do an online course called Gardening for Dyslexic. Because I'm telling you, she said annual is when you plant it annually. I'm like, that was funny. That was funny. But that was the question I had. I always have that question. Is it because they bloom annually, but it's because you plant them annually? That's hilarious. That is so hilarious. Okay, but my issue is deer. I have deer. Everything I plant, let me get this. Everything somebody else plants for me goes away. So I don't do plants, but people say there are things that you can do if you have deer. Do you have any advice for that?
Because I have problem with deer also. There is a product called liquid thin, okay? And it smells horrible. But basically what you need to do is go out in the evening when you're not going to be around, put on a face mask, and you go around and you spray all of your plants. And usually it'll last for a couple of days. And after that, you need to go back and do it again.
I would do it. I would get me a plant. It was not going to be a dandelion. I'm saying right now, there's no plant. It's going to be a little plant. I got a plan for you. It's called dyslexia gardening.
That is funny. That is funny. And you know what? Not only do you have deer, because the other day I was out here, there was a whole family of deer, and they're eating the bushes and whatnot. But I just planted some flowers, and now, oh my goodness, it's about the Japanese beetles. Have you guys seen those beetles? Oh, yeah. Yes, yes. And so I showed Karen. I said, look at these. She said, oh, the beetles are, eating your leaves. And she said, well, you just need to go and get some spray to spray for the beetles, because I'm serious, it's beautiful. And then they come and they destroy it. All right, you guys, we're ready to go to our second break. We are talking gardening 101. We are here with a gardening expert, my big sister, Karen Ott. She's telling us what to do to make sure that we have a beautiful yard. Come on, if you're a gardener, you have a question, call us 313-778-7600. You're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. We're going to take this break and we'll be right back. All right, we are back. We are back from our break. We are back and we are talking about gardening 101. We are here with Karen Ott, who is a gardener expert, and she just happens to be my big sister. And I promise you, you can't really see it in the background, but I have some beautiful pots of flowers. And you better know I took her right with me, and she helped me put it all together. Now, she didn't plant it, y'all. She just helped me pick them, tell me how to place them, and then she said, drop me off. You on your own.
You're on your
now
own.
Use your green girl skills, okay?
That's right.
But I'm telling you, they look so gorgeous. So Sabrina, I know that you absolutely love flowers, love flowers. So talk to us. Ask Karen, what do you want to ask Green Girl Ott?
I know, Green Girl Ott. Oh my goodness. Phyllis said in the chat, all of these issues just makes me want to plant some rocks. Okay. I just am not even trying to do all this. And I understand. I mean, I love the beauty. I don't know if I have the patience to do all of that planting. So, Karen, what about fertilizing? Because I think I've missed the mark on some of my beautiful plants that I'm not fertilizing right. What is your rule of thumb on fertilizing? What's your favorite fertilizer? And tell us about fertilizing.
Well, I use a basic fertilizer once the growing season has started. I use Miracle Grow for blooms if you want a lot of blooms. However, in the spring, when everything is starting to come to life, I use an organic fertilizer called Hollytone. So when you go to the nursery, you'll see a lot of different fertilizers. You'll see Hollytone, Rose Tone. They have a lot of different fertilizers that have tone at the end of it. But I only get the Hollytone because it'll cover everything. I mean, I'm not going to buy a lot of different fertilizers. So I do the Holly because it's good for shade-loving plants and for sun-loving plants. So early in the spring, especially when you're starting to plant them and you dig your hole, I've sprinkled that organic fertilizer in there to get them, to get the roots stimulated and get them started. Once they start blooming, then I fertilize every 2 weeks with Miracle Grow, a basic fertilizer.
Really? Every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, depending on.
Okay, that's it. I got my answer. That's why everything around me is dead right now. Okay.
Well, if you want lots of blooms, you have to feed. You have to feed. You're not going to produce without any food.
Yeah.
And you know what, Sabrina? One of the other things you need to know is that, Karen, I've talked to them a little bit about when we were talking about the show, and she was just talking about your flowers are kind of like your children. When you nurture them, they will produce. So talk a little bit about that, Karen.
Okay. Flowers, like I told Chris, are like children. They're nature's children. When you feed them, water them, and nurture them, and keep the bugs off of them, they'll show you love back. You show them love, they'll show you love in blooms.
That's so good. That's so good.
Feed myself. I gotta feed the grandchildren. I gotta feed the flowers and the deer. Lord, I'm glad.
I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. It's so worth it. We're going to be traveling in a few weeks, so we have these beautiful hanging baskets, the blooms are plentiful. But I've been here, so I've been able to water them every day. It's absolutely gorgeous. But now I'm thinking, we're going to be gone for like a week. What the heck is going to happen? I mean, I may have to have somebody come over, or what happens when you travel with these indoor flowers and just around, if they're not in the ground, what do you do?
When you go to a nursery, if you're going to be gone for a long period of time, they do have gadgets and stuff that you can do to add the plants. Okay, because I don't do a lot of house plants, but if you have outdoor gardening, if you water before you go, they're good for a week or two.
But you know what? I don't know what flowers these are, but they're absolutely gorgeous. Those big, beautiful baskets. And the lady told me, you've got to water every day. And I was like, ain't nobody going to be watering every day. But every day they want water.
You know why? Because they're in containers. And the soil, you don't have that much soil around the roots, and so they're going to dry out. So basically, if you have hanging baskets and you're not going to be there to see them, I would take them down, get one of those containers that you use when you have house plants and you don't want it to water your floor. Put a lot of water in there and just sit them in there until you get back.
Yeah, that's good advice, because I was wondering. Okay, that's good. Thank you, Green Girl.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
That is
That's
so funny.
She's not a gardener. You need to get you a small area and start. Okay.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. So when you first start, you should start in a small area and then build out just to test the
Right.
waters. Yeah.
Just to test it and see how much effort you want to put into it.
Yep.
Okay.
Somebody said, do you plant the tulips in April? When should you plant tulips?
Tulips, when you first purchase your bulbs, they're usually in the fall. Okay, so you plant them in the fall, and then they'll come up in the spring.
In the fall.
So
Okay.
my question is, because talk a little bit about when you are really venturing out, somebody that really knows what they're doing, with their garden. They know which flowers come in the early spring.
Right.
Then they know what's coming
Right.
in the summer, and then they have some things that will bloom close to the fall. So talk about the things that, if you want to see flowers almost year round except for winter, what are things that you would plant early in the spring and in the summer, and then those that are going to bloom in the fall?
Okay. There are some perennials that are cold weather plants. Some of those are helleborus. They're cold plants. I don't have a lot of cold plants, for the spring, because tulips are early because you plant them in the fall. So once the weather gets stable, then they'll start peaking up. So there's not a whole lot of cold, but you need to strategize your garden. Some stuff, the tulips and all of that, will come up early. They'll go away. And then once they're gone, then you need to have something that's going to bloom maybe in June, because in May and June, those are your bulbs that are, early bloomers. Then after that, you have your other flowers, your perennials that are coming up. And by the end of May, after the holiday, that's when you start mixing in your annuals with your perennials for color. So roses are June through the fall. That's why I like roses, because they're consistently blooming. The tulips, a lot of the tulips and the daffodils and a lot of the bulbs that you plant in the fall, those are spring bloomers. And then there's stuff, when you go to the nursery, you have to look at the tag and it will tell you when they bloom. So you want to space it out. You want spring, summer, and fall.
Okay, so we have spring, summer, and fall. Okay, so that's great. So talk to us a little bit about, magazines, other places they can look to get information about, for me, it doesn't come natural for me to just, like, when I did those pots here, it wasn't that I know I like color. I know yellow is my favorite color.
Mhm.
Orange was my mother's favorite color. So I like really bright, brilliant color flowers. But I also know I'm the girl that will look in a magazine, look at a picture and say, okay, I want to duplicate that. So talk a little bit about where they can find inspiration.
Okay. When I started out with roses, I bought a couple of books and catalogs to become familiar with them and looking at the colors that I wanted. I kind of did some research in the beginning. If you are starting out in gardening, you can go to the store and buy, magazines that'll give you a lot of ideas. There are some free catalogs that you can order to become familiar with them. One of my favorite catalogs is White Flower Farm. And basically, you can just order that catalog. They have one in the spring and then they have one in the fall. And it'll go, when you look through it, it'll list all of the perennials and annuals that they have. It'll give you the plant name, the botanical name. It'll tell you how tall they grow, what are whether they like shade or sun. And you can kind of like make a list. It's all about planning when you're gardening. Do some research and make some selections. If you want a certain color, look through the catalog and become familiar with it so that when you go out to buy it, then you have an idea what you want, because it becomes overwhelming when you go to a store and you see all of these plants and it's like candy in a store. You want this, you want everything, but you can't have it if you're if your sunlight conditions aren't right and your soil isn't right. So it requires a little bit of education up front if you want to really do it right.
Okay, so there you have it. You got to get educated before you just go to the store and start picking up pots of this and pots of that. Unless you're going to do it, Sabrina, just get a pot that's already done, hang it in the sun, and call it a day, right? But for those of you that want to venture out and do a little bit more, knowledge is powerful. Get you the free magazines, get you some free
magazines,
and learn a little bit more. We're ready to go to our break. And when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation. We're going to read some of the questions that you have posted on our Facebook. On our Facebook, we'll answer some of those questions. You're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. We're talking about gardening 101 with a gardening expert, my big sister, Karen Ott. We'll be right back right after this break. All right, we are back. We're back. We are back. You're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. We're talking gardening 101, and we are here with my sister, Karen Ott. She is a gardening expert. I believe we have a caller. Patrice, are you on the line? Okay, Patrice.
Patrice, what is your question or your comment? So my comment is, not only is this flowering, I know I heard you ladies talk about how challenging it is growing flowers. I would like my sister to speak on dead-heading flowers. Because not only do you have to water them, I learned certain flowers when they bloom, they need to be dead-headed. And it's like, what the heck? Why aren't the other flowers coming out? You learn, oh, it's because you have to dead-head them. That is so
good. So Karen, talk a little bit about that. That's my younger sister Patrice calling in. She a green girl, but her thumb and my thumb isn't as green as Karen's. But talk a little bit, Karen, about the dead heads.
That is funny. I am so glad Patrice, that you're listening. Good job. But yes, that's but basically that is so true. Once your flowers have bloomed and they've died, it is important to deadhead because you do not want the nutrients of the plants to go up to that dead spot and make a seed. So you want all of the nutrients to go back and down into the flower so that it reblooms again. So it is important to deadhead and pick up all the dead blooms. So if you're not excited about doing a lot of deadheading, I would select a plant that has a large bloom where it's only like a couple of blooms that you could just go and snip them off. Something like petunias is one that have a lot of blooms, so you'll have a lot of picking to do. But if you're not excited about deadheading, select a plant where you have larger blooms so that when they die off, you have less to deadhead.
Okay, so that's good to know, and I know that has a lot to do too with pruning. I know if you have roses, how important it is to prune, and it's just amazing how God makes flowers and how there's stuff that's dead that has to be cut off, and that's indicative of life as well. A lot of times there's stuff that we carry, baggage that we carry that if we just let it go, we can experience some new things. We can enjoy life better. And I promise you, I remember when I was growing my garden, my roses at the other house, and I would look at my roses and then come to your house and look at your roses. I was like, okay, why her roses look like that? And my roses look like this. Something is not right. And so she came by, she went in there, she was like, girl, give me those pruners. And she thought, I was like, what? And when I tell you, when she showed me how to do that, I promise you, that made all the difference in the world. I would go out there and I was like, oh, yep, it's time to prune. And people probably in my neighborhood, the few that were there, thought, oh, wow, she is so good. I was like, yep, I just learned about it yesterday, but I'm a quick learner. So you guys talk a little bit more about the importance of pruning.
It's very important to prune because not only when you cut off the dead growth, it encourages new growth, and you don't want all of the nutrients to go to the dying plant. The more you prune, the healthier the plant is because all of that nutrients and stuff goes down to the soil and to the roots of your plant. It sounds like it's a lot of work pruning and doing all of that. But for me, I do it early in the morning before it gets too warm. So I'm up early in the morning, I go out and I prune each flower bed, each morning. So it doesn't become overwhelming. It's just a matter of trying to schedule it out so it doesn't become a chore because gardening is supposed to be something that you enjoy doing. And if it's work, it is not fun.
You know what? That is so good. If it's work, then it's not fun. I know we are getting ready to come to an end, but you know what? I also wanted to say this. Karen's husband, my brother-in-law, Daryl, he is a phenomenal gardener as well. And so talk really quickly in our last 2 minutes about, how you and Daryl do that together as a couple.
Okay, gardening is not just for women. I don't know how I would do it all without my husband, Daryl. He loves it. We started out with the roses. He enjoyed it so much. He got hooked along with me. So he does a lot of the heavy work for me. When it comes to digging holes and moving stuff, it's something that we enjoy and do together. It's a perfect couple hobby. He loves it and we enjoy it. So
it's a good way to bond. I mean, everybody has different things that they bond over. And back in the day, we're like, men don't garden, men only do this, that, and the other. And when I go and Sabrina, next time you're in Detroit, I gotta take you to Karen's house so you can see, their yard. I mean, we've had tea parties out in there, and she takes us around and tell us the names of all of the plants, of all the flowers. And I'm telling you, It's like going into a kindergarten class, and the students are sitting there and they're like, we have the best teacher. When I tell you, their garden is absolutely amazing. And what it says is that, you know, anything that you give love to, anything that you give attention to is absolutely going to want to shine for you. And so your garden is absolutely indicative of the love and the concern and the care that you guys have. Sabrina, before we close out, do you have any final words or anything you want to ask?
Yeah, I mean, Karen, thank you. It was so informational, so inspirational. I'm going to do better. I'm going to take my time. I want to come to your garden. I want to see your dog. I want to see the golden doodle and the garden, okay? So I'm coming to see y'all for real, for real, for real. Now, tell me this, Karen, because you're such a good gardener, do you do vegetables at all? Do you grow any vegetables of any kind?
No, I don't do vegetables because I'm fighting the deer for the flowers. And then I have chipmunks, and then there's groundhogs and all that kind of, and squirrels. It's too much. It's too much. So I protect my
so
flowers.
Stop it right there. Okay, I hear you. Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. Well, you're doing a beautiful job. Thank you for keeping us enlightened. And I can't wait to come see all of your good work. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Crisette, your yard is absolutely amazing. Pan over the camera so they can see it a little bit. It's so beautiful, you guys. Look at that. Look how gorgeous her backyard is. Okay? That's a what do you call that? An estate. The estate. The Ellis estate.
And Karen told me I'm going to take my time, and you know, I'm going to put some more things in. Hey, as she said, Rome wasn't built in a year. It's not going to look like her garden right now, because hers have been what, 20, 30 years in the making. So I'm going to take my time to put it together. Gloria, are you still there?
You do your social media when you're spraying for the deer out there in the morning. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. Now I'm going to come see Karen yard. I'm going to see Chris's yard. And then I'm going to go home and figure out how to do some plants. This was awesome. Karen, this was an awesome show. I knew it was going to be awesome. And next time you're going to have to tell us how you strategize to beat the competitors that live next door. We love on them, and then you beat them at the top with the plants. I'm just telling you that was awesome. That was so awesome. I love it.
We're ready to close out. Tell us how many times you and Daryl have won the awards in your neighborhood.
I think at least 7 times, because it hasn't been in existence that long. So the 7 years that they've done it, we've won it all 7 times.
7 times. Super achiever, super guard. Okay, but absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in and listening to We Got Issues on today with the Force of Friendship. You guys, we wanted to keep it light. We wanted to, you know, add some beauty to everything that is going on. And I'm gonna tell you, you know, life can be heavy sometimes, but if you go and just get some flowers, I promise you, it will make you feel a lot better. So thank you, Karen, for being our gardening expert on today. We look forward to having you back. And next time, my garden is going to look even better. You guys, again, we loved hanging out with you, and we will be here tomorrow from 6 to 7 p.m. Ciao, ciao. Thank you so much for listening in. Have a good evening.
Bye.